Spoilers and offensive content to come.
We are Carlos Dave Anime Rave. We are the best anime something or other thing on the internet. And today, we are going to talk about...
A hoot of a topic.
Yes. Season 1, so far, of The Owl House. This is a Disney animated series by Terrace. It also has Alex Hirsch of Gravity Falls in as a couple of characters and in a prominent kind of storytelling advice position. I'm not sure his exact title.
Yeah.
Alex, have your people contact mine. We can correct that. It also has had episodes written by Molly Knox Ostertag, who is the wife of Noel Stevenson, who was the creator of She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. And what we have for you today, the first 17 episodes of Season 1 have released, and there are 2 more left. The number 18 is going to release in a couple days here, or maybe one day, depending when this comes out. And number 19 will be by the end of August. And that will conclude Season 1. This show has been renewed for a second season. And what I figured is, I kind of wanted to chat with you about it, Dave, because you and I are both caught up on the show. We both really like it, and I want to divide this episode of the Anime Rave into 2 parts. One part where we talk about the good, the bad, the stuff we like, dislike, whatever, about Owl House. And the second half where we go off the fucking rails and talk about the weird conspiracy theories that we think are going to happen either in the rest of the season or in the next season. Dave, what do you think of Disney's The Owl House?
This was one of a couple that you recommended to me at the beginning of June-ish. One was kind of a hit and miss. This one was not.
Which was the hit and miss?
That weird one.
That does not narrow it down. That does not narrow anything down. You're not talking Amphibia, are you?
No, I haven't watched that one yet.
Yeah, me neither.
It's the other one.
We have to see Amphibia. Oh! That's the one by the creator of Regular Show. Close enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that one's just a silly fucking absurdist comedy, right? It's not... I like that show, and I wouldn't compare it to The Owl House.
Well, I wouldn't compare it because one's ass and the other one I'm actually asking for.
You enjoyed the episode of Close Enough we saw. Don't say you didn't enjoy it.
I enjoy...
Well, we aren't even talking about that, though.
But yeah, no, The Owl House has had enjoyable characters. I've laughed. It brings back the hidden codes that Alex was so well known for in Gravity Falls.
I should note, speaking of hidden codes, if you do want to skip past us gushing about The Owl House, there is a timestamp in the description that you can get to the crazy conspiracy stuff.
It's been so enjoyable, creative, and how good these writers are getting.
Yeah.
With these shows. I mean, complex details and shows, codes, actually having every episode matter to the long-term effect of the show. I mean, this is not a Disney thing. Disney was always one-shots where the occasional episode would be harkened back to later on. Maybe.
Now, to be fair, Gravity Falls, and to a lesser extent Star vs. the Forces of Evil, had, for better or worse, ongoing arcs that kind of serialized themselves and didn't just one-shot things.
Not the Disney era I was kind of referencing back to.
Oh, okay. You're going back further.
I'm talking classic Disney.
Gummy bears, bouncing here and there and everywhere.
Well, even Gummy
High Adventure, that's beyond compare.
Yes, they are the Gummy Bears.
Yes.
Even Gummy Bears had a ongoing saga going, but I'm talking Rescuers... Or the Rescuers. I'm talking...
Did you mean Rescue Rangers?
Yes, actually.
Yes. You didn't mean the movie The Rescuers.
No, I didn't.
Which was terrible.
Darkwing Duck and all of those. Like, ultimately, there really was not too many ongoing sagas in old Disney stuff other than the occasional 2-part episode that might reference back to an old episode kind of thing.
But now we're in the era of that for Disney and elsewhere, too.
Well, we expect more, and it's awesome for kids these days and for adults that harken back to the older generation that we've advanced to this point where we can have complex stories and ongoing stories in these shows.
I look at shows like The Owl House, like Gravity Falls, like Steven Universe, like She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, not as kid shows with adult friendliness, but more as all ages programming. because they have complex plots and dynamic character relationships that any fan of storytelling can enjoy. Even someone who does want to regularly watch more adult-aimed entertainment can watch this and enjoy it, right? Like, look, I like Breaking Bad as well, but I mean, I still will watch The Owl House and think to myself, this is quality television, not just this cute kids show that I'm kind of fetishizing, right? Like,
parents can actually have fun watching shows with their kids today,
and childless people like us can just like it.
Yeah,
like, I really love The Owl House. So far, it's really captured me. We saw the first few episodes, and I was like, you know what, this is good, but, give or take. But then I thought about it a lot. I was like, I kind of want to watch more of this, because what I love about The Owl House, it fixes a problem I had with Gravity Falls, actually. That Gravity Falls, as good as it is, did have a lot of kind of one-shot stories and characters that I wanted to see more of, like Pacifica Northwest, for example, that I just didn't, because they didn't ultimately matter to the plot of the show. Like, Northwest Mansion Mystery is one of my favorite episodes of Gravity Falls. It's probably my favorite episode, because you got tons of Pacifica and Dipper, and they were ultimately my favorite characters, right? And the other Pacifica episodes had her interacting with Mabel prominently, and the mini-golf one was also pretty good. But ultimately, you could take those out, and the plot with Bill Cipher and Stanford and Stanley wouldn't have been affected at all. This is not the case with the Owl House. I was worried that I was going to see cool characters like Amity Blight be ignored. But instead, we have a show where every single plot point and thread and character meshes with everything else. You can't ignore any of them. And I'll get into this more in the conspiracy theory section, but I'll give you a little preview. Take any disparate plot point or character. Let's take Willow, who has been a fantastic character. If you can't just pluck Willow out of this thread and have her exist on her own, she brings all these other threads she's meshed with. You can't see this through the mic, people, but I'm doing kind of grabbing motions with my hands. You grab the Amity Blight thread with her and her relationship with Willow. You grab the beginnings of Amity developing feelings for Luce. You grab Luce making friendships, and she's a character who didn't come easily to in the real world. You learn things about memory manipulation and about how the covens and social hierarchy of this world work. You can't just grab Willow and have a self-contained story. All this other shit comes with it, which is good. That means that every episode does indeed matter, and every character, any piece of growth they go through, is actually moving the narrative forward and bringing us to what I'm hoping is a really sound narrative payoff at the end of the story. That's what has impressed me most about the Owl House. I'm a huge Lumity stan. I'm a big shipper of Luce and Amity. But if that's all this show was, I'd be like, that's cute. I might even watch it just for that. But I want more out of my fiction than just LGBTQIA plus relationships. I want those to be part of the grander whole and not just segregated to be their own thing. But it's not, because even that plot thread carries so much with it that matters in the ultimate scheme of things. And this is done with very little fluff. This is a very well-paced story. It's brisk, but it's nowhere near too fast. It does not dawdle on what doesn't matter. Characters and plot points that are introduced early do matter later, like the Bat Queen, for example. And it's just been just this fantastic show. This already in its first season, one of the best shows I've ever seen so far. Disney's The Owl House. I love it. It's just been great. I can't think too much to fault for it, to be honest. I thought maybe I was going to talk about certain characters not having enough development, but even if you look at someone like Gus has consequences to his actions and his place in the plot too. Like, you can't just pluck any one individual element. It's been all good. And fantastically voice acted, super well animated. Some scenes are obviously animated at a much higher quality, like the fight between Ida and Lilith.
Yeah.
And Luce and Amity's dance. are clearly the animation studio is going into mode B for these and giving us just these incredible scenes too. I love all the characters. I love the development they've been getting. Everyone's likable and or compelling. I just wish we knew more about Emperor Belos. I think we're going to get just a ton of info dump on Belos. All we've seen is like one still shot of Belos, who I imagine is going to be this big lore villain. But
yeah, it's gonna be like the one. Even the high school bullies have gotten development, which is good.
Yeah, even Basha and the rest of them. Don't ask me to remember their names.
Why not, Carlos?
I've remembered enough names. Don't you dare!
Even the principal.
His name, I don't remember his name.
Has surprised me. With, I'm not gonna say depth, but just that he actually isn't just a stereotype. That he actually has his own life and things going. I mean, and they expanded that with that little exit on the end of getting into school.
Yeah.
Those info dumps.
The files on Ida.
The files on Ida.
All the shit she pulled.
I mean, I think that and the memory wipe episodes are my two favorite ones.
Yeah, the memory wipe episode, Understanding Willow, that has been one of the best episodes of the season. If Enchanting Gromfright didn't exist, it would probably be my favorite episode of the season.
That would be my third.
I think top 3 is going to be Gromfright, Wing It Like Witches, and Understanding Amity, Understanding Willow.
Yeah.
Understanding Willow's such a good episode. Holy shit. What a good episode, man.
If I had to go 4, it would have to be the episode in the library.
Yeah, the one in the library where Luce and Amity first bonded, let's say.
Yes.
Right? That's a really good one, too. I enjoy that one. Where we got to meet Amity's siblings, and, at first they're right pricks, but later we learn that they're just kind of slightly misguided.
Yeah. But no, I mean, it's been an enjoyable show. The laughs are there. The drama's there. It's just been great.
It's been great. If you have not yet seen Disney's The Owl House, I urge you to watch it via the legal medium of your choice. Maybe pressure Disney to put it on fucking Disney Plus instead of hoarding it away on their app and making you watch a channel. They have a service now. The whole point of the service is that you don't have to do this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, why? We've been watching Glitch Techs on Netflix, and what would have been the point of watching Glitch Techs on Netflix if it's a Netflix branded show that we needed to tune into NBC for?
Yeah.
What the fuck? No, put it on Disney Plus, man. Get this show out there. People need to see The Owl House. It's great. Are we ready for the conspiracy stuff?
Let's jump right into the conspiracy bullshit.
Okay, folks, for those of you who clicked on that timestamp, we are going off the fucking deep end now.
Tinfoil hats on.
We're not fucking with you right now. We have theories, okay? We have theories. I think before we begin, I do want to point out that the hidden messages that have been in the episodes. The first letter of every episode of Season 1 spells, "A witch loses a true way." And the hidden message that has been decoded gradually throughout each episode, it's not a complete message, but it is 2 witches torn apart, now alone, 2 hearts of stone, a curse of feathers and mud, a betrayal. Now that last part's not complete, because it will be completed by the final 2 episodes.
Let's talk about that first.
Yes. The hidden messages.
Yeah, so that's totally Ida and her sister.
You think so?
Yes.
Do you? Because I have a theory about that, and I think Lilith is one big red herring.
See, that's too easy. Like, can we both agree that and you know how bad I am with names. The suspected bad guy of this one,
Emperor Belos?
the Emperor. That's gonna be their father.
Their father. You need to qualify who their is.
Ida and
Ida
Lilith.
and Lilith's father?
Yes.
That's a very different theory from what a lot of people online have.
And that's great. I figure it's their father.
Okay.
The betrayal was the father against Ida.
You think that Emperor Belos is Ida's father and has cursed her.
Mm-hmm.
And did something to her memory to make her forget that he was the one who did it.
Well, she's got images.
And possibly even Lilith's.
Well, see...
This is great. Your theory is so different from mine. I love this. Your mind's gonna explode when you hear mine, but go on.
The 2 hearts of stone makes sense, though. because they both show, at least at first towards each other, that there's really no relationship there. But as it's been going on, like, Ida still is like, fuck, leave me alone kind of thing. Lilith she wants her to come back. Lilith wants it too badly. I think the curse is affecting both of them.
Oh yeah, you think Lilith is also cursed?
I think Lilith is also cursed, and only by bringing her sister in will the curse be removed from her, not necessarily Ida. Like, the betrayal here, I'm very sure is going to be that the father had betrayed Ida. Lilith may have just been stood in the wrong place, was there when it happened, and she ended up getting the ass end of the curse.
That is the technical term for when you get the bad part of a curse. It's the ass end.
Yeah, for me, I've heard rumors and people thinking that it's
Motherfucker, you better know the main character's fucking name. What's her name, Dave?
I already said it once already in this conversation. Holy crap.
This podcast does not continue until you remember her name without looking it up. Oh, I'm going to be removing a lot of dead air. Loose. It's loose. Lucinda Nocida.
I've heard thought of people, or I've heard people talking that maybe it's her father, Luce's.
Yeah.
But that only works if you start really going down the conspiracy theory line of thinking. So
we'll get to me in a moment.
Well, you brought it up, so you go first on that.
Oh, are you done your thought?
Well, there's just not much more to say about, at least for me,
okay,
on the puzzles, the codes.
Okay. As mentioned in the first half of this, you can't pluck a plot point out of this without grabbing every other plot point. Let's take Willow again, for example. Through Understanding Willow, the episode Understanding Willow, we pluck Willow out and we get so many things that come with it. We get her relationship with Amity, how that fell apart and is now being rebuilt. We get Amity's developing feelings for Luce. We get Luce's ability to make friends in this new world where she couldn't. We start to see characters other than Luce become ingratiated with Ida and be staying at the Owl House. Most recently shown in the last scene of Wing It Like Witches, where they're all having tea very pleasantly. We see that you can manipulate memories, you can repair memories, all this stuff. And that happens with everything. And there's a reason why we are getting the character development we've been getting in the volume we've been getting it. And that's because these things don't exist in a vacuum. There's no Northwest Mansion mystery. We're not being shown Amity and Luce developing into a romantic relationship by accident, or as a B-side story to the main characters that are Luce, Ida, and King. That's not what's going on. What we're seeing is a parallel to what came before. I think a betrayal is talking about Amity. I think, in fact, I'm expecting before this month is over, Amity will make her feelings clear to Luce. Luce may reciprocate them, but something happens because of Amity's ambitions as a witch to join the Emperor's Coven and to still gain power and clout, maybe to reform her family and the whole social order of the Isles in general. Amity is going to betray Luce somehow. I think I'm taking Dana Terrace at her word that the Disney execs have been supporting this LGBTQI plus relationship, and that Amity and Luce is the endgame couple that's going to happen. But it's going to hurt first. For dramatic effect, for all that good storytelling oomph that you want in a story, it's going to hurt a lot before they finally heal. And I think we're on the cusp of a betrayal. I think that's happening. I think that's imminent. The betrayal is referring to Amity. As for the rest of the lines, a witch loses a true way, I'm not sure who to think about that. That could apply to Amity. That could apply to Ida even, if we consider that on the island, on the Boiling Isles, joining the Emperor's Coven is considered the true way. Someone who shuns it would be considered an outcast, for better or worse. But as for the two witches who were torn apart now alone, this is where we're diving into the rabbit hole, folks. I think that is referring to Ida and to Ida's romantic interest from when she was a schoolgirl, none other than Camelia Nocida, Luce's mom. Because we see an image, a photo, in Wing It Like Witches, showing young Ida, and it has Lilith in the background kind of looking on like she's annoyed or jealous of them, and Ida is locked elbows with someone else, who we just see a few hints of. They have glasses, they have dark skin, they match Camelia perfectly. And we even have a minor image back in those files when they're talking about all the shit Ida did in school. In the files where she released all the ghosts in the locker room and the ghosts made bad puns, which I'm sure you enjoyed, because of course you fucking did. There's a girl behind Ida who also kind of matches up that profile, and we don't see her face either. And I think that's an important detail that is being hidden. This is not going to be Gravity Falls, where everything's going to wrap up neatly in a summer and then Luce is going to go home and going to come back next summer. No. The worlds are changing very soon. The status quo is going to get shaken up. And we're going to learn that Camelia Nocida visited the Boiling Isles, cursed Ida by accident, and this left a rift. In order to heal that rift, someone, maybe Camelia herself, changed a few memories around so that Ida doesn't even recognize how she got cursed and doesn't even recognize that Luce is her daughter. And then Camelia, back in the real world, she went into the medical profession. She's a nurse or a doctor or something. She's got medical scrubs on and tries to have Luce lead a normal-ass life and not get mixed up in weird shit. And the parallel we're going to get here is that Amity's betrayal of Luce is going to parallel that. And that's going to lead to a season 2 where Luce is going to have to find her way back to the Boiling Isles. She's going to have to tell her mom everything. And maybe this leads to Ida and Camelia patching up their relationship as well. I don't think that the only bisexual characters are Luce and Amity. I think that is a little bit of a trick that Dana Terrace is pulling. I think Luce really does have 2 moms, and that Ida's one of them.
Nah. Well-reasoned, good arguments. Nah. I'm being thrown the double finger right now. His face is just so silent.
Why don't you tell him about your weird foot fetish theory, Dave? When you said we've never seen Luce's feet, and I'm like, sure we have, and I went back to the first episode, oh wait, we didn't.
So, no, actually, your reasoning is great on that. Half of me wants to say it's way too complex for what we're seeing, but it's not. I agree that Luce's mom probably has been there, and potentially may have actually been born there, actually lived on the Isles, but left due to some reason.
And this is why Luce has this weird affinity to magic despite not having the organ?
And that's just it. If Luce's mom, and that kind of counters what I'm saying here right now as well. If Luce's mom was born on the Boiling Isles and was a witch herself, then Luce should have the organ. However, we haven't heard anything about half-breeds. So maybe in a half-breed situation, Luce wouldn't have.
It sounds so degenerative. Like it sounds like such a put-down, calling her a half-breed. I know it's not. It just sounds like such a put-down.
I hate saying half-blood because...
And halfling is also kind of weird.
Yeah.
Half and half just sounds like a drink.
At least if I say half-breed...
Can we call her half-human?
Sure.
Now, the foot fetish thing, which isn't the foot fetish,
okay.
You just thought we never saw the bottom of her foot, that she has a slot like the Bat Queen and like Owlbert.
The Bat Queen episode was important for a couple main reasons for the Luce part. Number one, up until the shocker that the Bat Queen is, or at one time was, the tip of a staff. And we see that she actually has 2 staff inserts, or what would you call them? Slots. Okay.
Did she have 2?
She had 1 on each foot, which is we haven't seen before. All the other ones we've seen only had 1 foot that had a slot.
Okay.
But she did mention that her staff was for an ogre. That's a big ass staff.
Do you think the ogre might be king?
No.
Can we agree that we're going to see King's true form at some point, but because of his connection to Luce,
he's going to go back.
Yeah, he's going to.
No, King is going to get everything he ever thought he wanted, and then he's going to give it right back up to go back to being how he is now, being in a loving relationship with Ida and King.
And Luce.
Ida and Luce, right.
Yeah, in a loving, like, pet human relationship.
Yes, it's adorable. King reminds me of Stewie from Family Guy, if written right.
Did you mean Brian?
No.
Did you mean the dog or the baby?
The baby.
You meant the baby. Okay. He has kind of Brian and Stewie things in him, doesn't he?
He's very Stewie-ish, not as technologically savvy, but it's like if Stewie was written right. By the way, I don't like Family Guy, just so you know.
No, I know you don't. And certainly it's gone downhill over the years, but I get you. Yeah, like, that's the fun thing about King is, like Brian from Family Guy, he's a dog who speaks like a human but still has dog mannerisms. But unlike Brian and Stewie, there's a real character here who is undergoing real development.
Like that episode with the playground. What I could totally see that happening in a Family Guy episode. It just would suck.
It has happened in a Family Guy episode.
Oh, God.
But the point is, it was a good episode. Sorry, go on.
So, them showing that there's a lot of abandoned stave heads, and that the Bat Queen is protecting them, made me think about possibly Luce being a staff head. Because
they gave them a name, and I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, I don't remember. That doesn't really matter at the moment. But we also know that they can live their lives.
Yeah. They can
have personalities and everything else. So, yeah, that was the question. I started going through, just looking, have we ever seen Luce's feet?
I don't think we have. Maybe it's possible. I was going to come in here with a theory that I abandoned, that it's weird how Luce didn't make friends in the real world because she doesn't seem inherently unlikable. Well, but the other thing, too, is that, kids are jerks, and it's possible that she just never meshed. And you mentioned maybe she moved from another place and had to make new friends and just didn't. So there's a lot of variables there. Luce has probably lived in the human world and isn't just a construct who has had memories implanted before being shipped off to camp.
Yeah, we got very little detail about Luce's life before ending up on the Boiling Isles. There's a reason for that. Whether it's construct, whether it's she's actually the top of a stave that has been set free, or even just that they're leaving it open so we don't know a lot so they can screw with us later as far as Luce's mom possibly having been on the Boiling Isles as well. It's a little bit weird, though, that I can buy that a couple people's memories were changed, but if Luce's mom was actually on the Isles in school with Ida, it's weird how they talk about humans in an almost mythological sense until Luce is there.
But they still know about humans.
They know.
There's a rough understanding of human culture. And, excuse me, the Azura series, including its movies, are available on the Boiling Isles and have been watched.
Okay.
Didn't Amity have a throwaway line about how she's watched one of the movies?
Yes.
How?
Well, and this is just it. They've got...
Gus thought it was a cookie.
But this is my problem. Like, the principal was quite happy to have Luce attend, based on her being a human. It would do the students well. But if a former human had taken part in the school, then, I'd expect a line in there of, it would be nice to have a human attending the school again.
Maybe it's something they just agreed to not bring up.
I'd rather believe everybody got mind-wiped Men in Black style than just we decide not to bring it up.
Which
That-
could it be possible with magic, of course.
That just seems like a cop-out to me. For how well written this show has been so far, that's like a black hole of plot holes. Okay? Now...
A plot singularity.
Yes. Do we remember what the color red was on the kid's uniform for what subject that was?
What track that was?
Yes.
Oh, fuck me. Okay, purple was abominations.
Mm-hmm.
Green's plants. Potions. What was potions? Was potions red?
Let me just look that up quickly.
Yeah, why don't you look it up, Dave? I'm gonna find out what the fuck the top of the staves are called, because someone listening to this is gonna fucking hear us be like, these fucking scrubs didn't see shit. Palisman. They're palismans.
What the hell was that track?
The red track?
Yeah.
Potions? I don't know.
No. You said red is palismans.
No. Palismans are the tips
Oh,
of the staves.
okay.
They're called palismans. They're not called staff tops. They're not called staff bottle caps. An interlock on each foot. They call them interlocks, not
There we
slots.
go. Red is a bard.
There's a bard track?
Yeah.
Right, because they were playing musical instruments and shit.
Magenta is abominations. Red is bard. Orange is beastkeeping. Brown is construction. Dark blue is healing. Light blue is illusions. Purple is oracle. Green is plant. And yellow is potions.
Okay.
She had a bard friend. Which, if it was going to be her mother, wouldn't you think with her future career, she would have been in the healing track?
Here's what I think happened. What I think happened is something went wrong. Experimentation. Camellia accidentally cursed Ida. Lilith is bitter about this because Lilith. This is the red herring. People are saying that Lilith did the cursing. No, I think this is red herring. I think Lilith legitimately loves Ida and is trying to get Ida fixed. I think it was Camellia by accident. And I think Lilith is trying to fix the problem, but in her own way. And it seems antagonistic, but really isn't. I think Camellia did it by accident. I think it was a complete accident. And that's after she did the mind wiping through methods unknown. She tricked them or something. Who knows? Maybe a deal with the Emperor's Coven or the Emperor himself. She decided to get into the medical profession in the real world to help people. Maybe she wasn't even a healer on the Boiling Isles, but decided to become one in the real world. And for all I know, maybe she never was human to begin with, and you're right, and she was born there and did something to tamper her ears or something like that. It would explain a lot of how Luce is able to just see runes. Like, if Camellia is human and magic knowledge is hereditary, even without the organ necessary, this explains how Luce is able to see these runes just appear before her.
Could also be a father as well.
Runes, glyphs. It could also be your father.
Mm-hmm.
Emperor Bellos could be Luce's father, but if Emperor Bellos is Luce's father, the big question becomes why. It would answer the question of who's sending the fake letters to Camellia, and it would also, imply that Luce's father is bringing her to the Boiling Isles for a reason, but then why not make his move sooner to see his daughter?
Yeah, I still say the Emperor is Ida's father.
Ida and Lilith's father?
Yeah. Lilith wanting to bring Ida to the Emperor to join the Coven and get healed. Number one, if the Emperor can heal her, he'd have to have some sort of knowledge of the curse. Ida's curse, now this is something that I haven't seen on any of the forums. Why is Ida's curse suddenly getting so much worse?
Hasn't it been getting progressively worse? Or do you think it's because of Luce somehow?
Not because of Luce, but because of the situations that Luce has put her in.
Luce has both required her help and helped her in a number of cases.
Ida has used a extraordinary amount of magic from the different areas around Luce, both in situations to save her as well as to save herself. Every time she uses magic extensively, the next episode makes a point of saying that her curse is getting worse. I think the more she uses more than one coven's magic, her curse gets worse.
So in order to get her to join one, they cursed her because they know that Ida wants to practice all of the schools, but you can only do that if you're part of the Emperor's Coven or a renegade.
This would be a way to turn off the curse while still allowing her to use all the forms of magic under the control of who I think is her father.
Now, let's say Belos is Ida and Lilith's father.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say Belos cursed Ida. In this scenario, who is the woman interlocking elbows with Ida in the past?
Well,
Who's that girl?
I still accept it very well. Well, number one, it could be a red herring. It absolutely could be a red herring.
Literally a red herring? There's a fish face under that?
Sure.
Wearing the red track?
Would it surprise you?
No. But still, I don't think it's a fish.
Even with my thinking, Luce's mother could still have been that person. There's no reason why Luce's mom couldn't have been there. I mean, let's face it. There is enough going on in the Boiling Isles to justify all of mankind's myths and legends.
And fears.
And fears, yes.
Okay, so we have some differing opinions on the nature of the curse, who cursed Ida, and what caused it. We both suspect that girl is Ida, is Camellia.
Yeah.
What do you think of my theory that Amity is about to betray Luce somehow?
See, I could see it, but it's going to be another one of those ones we're going to find out that her parents pressured her into it for some reason.
Oh, for sure. It's going to be a combination of her parents, who are awful people, and Lilith, who, as we know, has a keen interest in Amity's development.
Yeah, it's...
Probably doesn't like the fact that Amity can't even mention the word Luce without turning into a gay disaster who's muttering her words and blushing at the mere thought of Luce sweating.
Well, and this could link back to your idea that Ida and Luce's mom may have been a thing. I mean, that would just make Lilith even more pissed off, kind of thing.
Maybe Camellia had a brother. Maybe the whole thing with siblings. Maybe Luce has an uncle who was romancing Lilith that we don't know about.
Who knows? I don't want to see them start adding more characters. We've heard of the Emperor. That's great. We can introduce them. But let's not start throwing new characters in here. We've got a good cast with what we've got going on. However, if they want to add a few more characters, that's fine. Just don't bleach it up.
Don't bleach it up. Good advice for any storyteller. Do not bleach it. Do not add a new character when you can't think of how to proceed the story. Just think on it a little more.
And don't start...
Teach Kubo.
And don't start in the last 20 chapters or 30 chapters, start adding 3 to 5 characters that are dead within a chapter or two over and over again.
Stop talking about Bleach. It's making me angry. It's making me want to fight you in a grudge me match.
You'd lose.
I love how Luce was like, that is so stupid. That is so stupid that there's some other objective. Why would anybody play the normal game if they could just focus fire on the stupid Quidditch thing?
See,
God, Quidditch is so fucking stupid.
See, I liked the reference to Quidditch, but even that, there were only 2 people that were ever on that field to look for the snitch.
Why wasn't everybody looking for the snitch?
No, but that was just it. Only 2 people on that field were allowed to touch it. That was the rule.
People can't see this, but I am once again just flipping Dave the bird.
Look, as stupid of a sport it was.
Oh, it's stupid.
At least Quidditch had written rules on only 2 people could touch it. Everything else, you could win the game through the normal process. But you had 2 players on there, that was their only fucking role.
Assist that player then! Who cares? Getting it wins! Who don't play the normal game, it's pointless!
But it's not.
It's completely pointless! Assist the stupid... What was the name of the thing?
The snitch.
You remembered that? But not Luce?
No, I mind blanked on Luce because I'd said it 2 minutes earlier.
I'm fucking sorry. I'm fucking sorry you mind blanked.
Apology accepted.
Sorry, Dave. Forgot that was a separate thing.
Yes, I can remember Quidditch. and the fact that their role was called a seeker.
Okay, so back to this.
So, yes, I enjoyed that reference to Quidditch and how she called it stupid because it was.
Yeah, so dumb.
But I did like that all of a sudden all of her players in the team came over and wanted Willow to be on their team.
I would too. Willow's clearly awesome. Willow's poison ivy.
That's
I want to be friends with Willow.
That's just it. Willow.
I wanted to be friends with her before she was poison ivy. She's cool.
Willow should totally be in multiple tracks. She should be making plant abominations.
Oh yeah, that guy who could make plant abominations is onto something. That guy they should be fucking like studying him. He's onto something. That guy is making swamp things. Like
Yeah. It's like, why are you pigeonholing your whole society into these narrow tracks when there's overlap?
That's one of the fun plot points. Ida hates that, and Luce is going to break through that, and has already started. But I still think we're going to see an Amity betrayal. Look, I love Lumity. I want these two to be happy. I think they're going to be. I just think we're going to, for the sake of narrative thrust, for the sake of all that juicy storytelling goodness, Amity is going to get pulled in multiple directions very soon. I think she's going to confess before this season's done. If it not this season, it'll be early next. But shortly after that is when she gets pulled. And she's going to do something terrible, and it's going to be up to Luce to kind of redeem her.
You know, the betrayal doesn't even have to be something major, you know. The betrayal could simply open a door back to the human world and pushing her through to protect her.
I don't think we as the audience or Luce herself would view that as a betrayal.
Really?
No, I don't, especially since Luce saw exactly why Amity broke off her friendship with Willow.
Yes.
They saw firsthand that Amity did what she had to do because her parents were going to do something bad to Willow and prevent her from enrolling in Hexside
Does
Academy.
Luce want to go home?
Luce doesn't want to go home. I'm saying Luce isn't fucking stupid. Let me rephrase that. Luce isn't so stupid that she wouldn't see that action and not understand why Amity did it. Because she's not dumb. She can put two and two together and go, she did this once before. Why would someone who just told me she loves me do this to me? She's not dumb.
Okay, but let me change the circumstances just a little bit.
Okay.
Ida is in trouble. Luce is going to help her. Amity stops her, opens a door, throws her back into the human world, preventing her from helping. You don't think that Luce is going to be hurt by that?
I think that circumstance would hurt Luce. I'm saying that Luce is not Captain Vendetta. I'm saying that Luce is gonna want to patch things up. She might be hurt by it. She'll have to overcome that, but she won't hate Amity for it.
Not saying it has to be hate. Betrayal doesn't have to mean you hate the person.
Catra betrayed Adora how many times? Then again, from Catra's perspective, the opposite also happened.
Yeah.
And they still ended up being space lesbians that saved the universe. So, like, here's the thing. Luce doesn't have to... She can view it as a betrayal and still feel love and affection.
Sure.
Right?
I don't want...
It's kind of like when we were driving and you booted me out of the car. And I was like, why'd you do that? We were going down a speeding highway. I could have died. And you said it was to protect you. And I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. I didn't see anything coming down the highway. But I believe you, Dave. Let me just get a skin graft to fix the part of my flesh that's gone. And bam. All is forgiven. And we're recording this Owl House episode on Carlos Name Anime.
I can't believe I missed that wall.
I think that's what's happening. I think the betrayal part is going to reference Amity and probably has referenced something in the past. I think these hidden messages are referring to multiple characters.
Sure, and I think the main betrayal is going to be Lilith on her sister.
Yeah, but for Lilith, but for Ida's own good in Lilith's mind, right?
In her mind, yeah.
Yes.
She thinks that trying to arrest her and take her back to the Emperor is already in her best interests.
Yep. And that seems to be a big theme of the show. And again, you can't separate any of these plot points, is doing something bad to someone for their perceived own good.
Mm-hmm.
Amity did it to Willow. Lilith is doing it to Ida. I suspect Amity's going to do it to Luce.
Could be.
Hell, Luce has done it loosely, no pun intended, to Willow in Wing It Like Witches, where she was trying to force her to fucking face Basha. And to the point that Willow got mad at Luce for it, for meddling. Right? So...
And, I mean, the betrayal could also be something that King does to Ida.
It could be something that King does. We haven't talked a lot about King in these theories because I think his is simple, as I said before. At some point, he's going to revert to his Demon King persona and possibly to his Demon King form. But because of his affection for Luce and Ida, he's going to either be completely tame or he's going to turn himself back to normal. Yeah. I don't think King's arc is going to be that complex. I don't think he's secretly Bill Cipher. Dana Terrace has said this isn't linked to Gravity Falls. The Bill Cipher thing in episode 3 or 4, I forget, was just kind of a nice little Easter
chuckle.
Egg.
Yeah.
There's a little Easter egg, the fact that Alex Hirsch is voicing him. Yeah, he's not Bill Cipher, but he is legit a former Demon King. I think that's not just some weird psychosis he has.
Would not surprise me in the least.
Yeah. Regardless, I think the fact that the Owl House, even if everything I'm saying is wrong, even if everything you're saying is wrong or right or whatever, I think the fact that we can have these talks and that there are a myriad other conspiracy theories about this show, it shows just how good it is because it can elicit this kind of conversation while still being solid and having well-rounded and well-grounded characters and stories. The Owl House has been fantastic.
If I was Luce at this point, I'd have my main spells literally tattooed on my hand.
The problem is it would absorb some of your flesh to cast, right? Because anytime she casts a glyph from something, it eats up the thing.
Yeah, that's right.
So, you know what you would need, because we're going to be running that D&D campaign soon, and I told you about how I was going to make people use reagents.
Yeah.
Well, I was reading about if you have a magical focus, you can mitigate tons of those costs, right? What Luce needs is she needs a wand or a sword, because wands suck.
Or a staff.
Yeah, a sword that can act as her focus, that can let her draw runes in the air and translate them, basically. Or a special alchemist glove, Roy Mustang glove. That'd be fine, too. Yeah. Luce could literally make a Mega Buster with a little bit of ingenuity.
Yep.
Yep.
Hell, you could put make a glove like that and put each finger having a different glyph.
Yeah, she could be the Mandarin. I agree. Luce
give you a thumbs up, and all of a sudden I've impaled your head with a pillar.
I agree. Luce could be the Mandarin. Luce could be the villain of the upcoming Shang-Chi movie.
Weird one to bring up, but yeah.
Well, the Mandarin had a ring in each hand, right?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, so if Luce has
10 rings of power.
Yeah,
but the Mandarin was also typically a
Iron Man villain.
Well, Iron Man at first, but later on he was mainly a Stephen Strange.
This is true. Well, I mean, he's such a mystical villain.
Yeah.
Like, fucking, if you want to stretch it, we could say he could be an Owl House villain, because all those properties fall under the same fucking company.
Yeah.
Oh, man, Emperor Bellows is still the question mark, man. At this point, he could be Gil from Street Fighter, and I'm not even sure I'd be surprised. Saw someone say that. If he's Gil from Street Fighter, how wild would that be?
Geese comes out.
Oh, you cannot escape long death. Luce tries to punch him. Predictable. Geese Howard, you're the master of the Boiling Isles. Rapukin, die alone.
Second in command is Akuma.
I'll stain my hands with your blood.
Except Akuma would stop him from killing Luce, because there's no reason.
I don't think Akuma would follow orders from Geese, because I don't think Akuma could... Akuma beats Geese, let's be real.
Fair enough.
Yeah. The Emperor could be Akuma, but the problem with Akuma being here is that he wouldn't look at Luce as a challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he wants someone who could kill him. Luce would sooner make friends with him. In canon, Elena has taken a selfie with Akuma. This is in canon, so I mean...
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that we're getting into the real crossover conspiracies, I think it's time to end this podcast.
Definitely.
Folks, we want to hear what you thought of the Owl House Season 1, including just your impressions on the show, and also what you think is going to happen in the rest of the season and beyond. You can leave us a comment on this video. You can leave us a comment on our website, twofatguystalk.com, which you can also reach with animerave.xyz. You can go there, you can leave us a voicemail. It's the home of Two Fat Guys Talk, our podcast, and Carlos and Dave Anime Rave, this show that you're listening to right now. Thanks for listening to us ramble, rave, and conspiracy theorize about the Owl House.
Tune in next time.
Farewell.